Have you ever noticed how often we just put our lives on hold?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Right? Like we wait for some massive change so we can finally feel better. We tell ourselves these little stories.
We do. We really do.
We say things like, oh, when I finally move to a new city, then I'm going to be happy. Or we think, when I get that new job, the one with the better office, I'll finally build a good, healthy routine.
Yeah, we put all our hope into these big future events. It's like a trap.
Exactly. It is a trap. But here's the reality we are going to explore today. The secret to a good life, it doesn't live in that imaginary future.
No, it doesn't.
The real secret lies in exactly what you do on a normal, random Tuesday. So, welcome to today's deep dive.
I am really looking forward to this one because, we usually think of routines as just, well, boring schedules.
Yeah, like a list of chores.
Right, we think of them as a list of times and tasks. Wake up at 7, eat at 8, work at 9. Just a clock. But routines are so much deeper than that.
How do you mean?
Well, your daily routine is actually the physical proof of your true priorities. What you do every day shows what you actually care about. We're going to explore how the very small habits we repeat every single day eventually build our entire lifestyles.
And to help us understand this, we have some really fascinating source material today. It is a detailed conversation between two people.
Two very different people.
Very different. First, we have Jack. Now, Jack honestly struggles with his daily schedule. His days are stressful. He is always tired. And he feels like he is just trying to survive until the weekend.
I think a lot of people listening can relate to Jack.
Definitely. I know I can sometimes. And then on the other hand, we have Emma. Emma seems to have completely mastered the art of the peaceful, healthy routine.
She really has. She has energy, she's calm, and she actually enjoys her normal weekdays, which sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing.
Yeah.
So the contrast between Jack and Emma is going to be a perfect mirror for us to look at our own lives. We are going to break down a typical day, step by step, from the moment we wake up to the time we go to sleep. We will analyze the common traps we all fall into and look at the small, simple habits that can completely change how we feel.
Sounds great. Let's start right at the beginning.
Yes, let's start with the morning. In our source material, we get a very clear picture of Jack's morning, and honestly, it sounds painful.
It really does.
His alarm clock rings at 6:45 in the morning.
No.
But he doesn't get out of bed. He hits the snooze button 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times. Wow.
Yeah. He actually jokes that his alarm clock must hate him.
Yeah. That is a feeling many people know very well. We treat the morning like a battle. We see the alarm clock as an enemy, trying to ruin our rest.
Right, the enemy.
But when we hit that snooze button 3 or 4 times, we are doing real damage to our brains before the day even begins.
Okay, I have to challenge you on that.
Yep.
Because hitting the snooze button feels incredibly good in the moment. When your alarm rings and it is cold outside the bed, getting just 10 more minutes of warm sleep, well, it feels like a tiny victory.
I know the feeling.
Right. So how can that be damaging?
Well, it feels good for about 3 seconds, but let's look at the biology of sleep in simple terms. Sleep doesn't just happen in one flat line. It happens in cycles.
Like waves.
Exactly, like waves. You move through light sleep, deep sleep, and dreaming sleep. Each full cycle takes about 90 minutes.
Okay, 90 minutes.
So when your alarm rings the first time, it pulls you out of a sleep cycle. You wake up, but when you hit the snooze button and close your eyes again, your brain gets confused.
How is it confused?
It thinks, oh, great, we are going back to sleep. Time to start a brand new 90-minute sleep cycle.
Oh, no. So your brain starts preparing for a long rest.
Exactly. Your brain starts releasing all the heavy chemicals meant to keep you asleep for an hour and a half. But then, just 10 minutes later, the alarm rings again.
And you have to wake up.
Right. You suddenly pull your brain out of that new, deep sleep. This is a concept called sleep fragmentation.
Sleep fragmentation, so broken sleep.
Yes, broken sleep. It leaves your brain feeling completely confused. The sleep you get during those 10 minutes is not real rest. It is actually much worse than if you had just woken up the very first time the alarm rang.
That makes a lot of sense. You are basically tricking your brain into starting a process it cannot finish.
Exactly.
Tricking your brain.
You are waking up with all those heavy sleep chemicals still floating around in your head.
Yes. And that chemical fog has a name. It is called sleep inertia.
Sleep inertia. That sounds heavy.
It is heavy. It can take hours to clear out of your system. You feel slow and grumpy, and the more you hit the snooze button, the worse that chemical fog becomes.
Well, the situation gets even worse for Jack.
But it does.
Yeah. Because eventually, he does stop hitting snooze. But before he even gets out of bed, before his feet touch the floor or he brushes his teeth, he grabs his smartphone.
Oh, a very common mistake. He just lies there in bed, looking at social media, checking messages, watching random videos, and reading the news. And often, it is bad news. He admits to Emma that this makes his morning feel filled with tiredness and stress.
This is a critical point in Jack's day. We really need to ask, why do we do this? Why is our first instinct to grab a screen?
Think about it like this. Imagine waking up, opening your eyes, and immediately walking into a crowded, noisy, stressful party.
A party in your bedroom.
Right. You're still wearing your pajamas, you were still half asleep, and suddenly there are hundreds of people in your bedroom. People are shouting at you about world politics, your boss is asking you questions, strangers are showing you funny videos, advertisers are trying to sell you things.
That sounds awful.
It is. So why do we intentionally invite all this stress into our beds before we are even fully awake?
That crowded party in your bed is a very accurate way to describe it. When you look at your phone immediately after waking up, you are actively shocking your nervous system.
Shocking it.
Yes, your nervous system is the control center of your body. It manages your stress and your relaxation. After a full night of quiet, dark sleep, your brain is supposed to wake up slowly. It needs time to transition.
But the phone doesn't allow for a transition.
Not at all. When you flood your eyes with bright artificial light, bright colors, and stressful information, your body reacts as if it is under attack.
Wow. Under attack.
It releases a stress chemical called cortisol. You haven't even stood up yet, and your body is already preparing for a fight. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing gets a little faster, and your mind starts racing.
Jack actually tells Emma that his brain feels like a busy train station every morning.
A busy train station, yes.
This perfectly matches the chemical reaction you were describing. Thoughts are rushing past, there's loud noise everywhere, and people are running in different directions. He can't focus on anything.
And compare that busy train station to Emma's morning routine. Her approach is completely different.
It really is. Emma wakes up and immediately starts what she calls a 20-minute phone ban.
A phone ban. Very smart.
She refuses to look at her phone for the first 20 minutes of the day. Instead, she gets out of bed, she opens the bedroom curtains, she drinks a large glass of water, and she simply sits quietly for a few minutes. She tells Jack that this makes her brain feel slower and calmer.
There is real science behind every single one of Emma's simple actions. Let's explore why her routine works so much better than Jack's.
Let's do it.
First, she opens the curtains. Getting natural sunlight into your eyes first thing in the morning is the single most powerful signal you can send to your internal biological clock.
How does the light actually change things in the body?
Inside your brain, there is a tiny area that controls your sleep and wake cycles. When natural sunlight hits your eyes, even if it is a cloudy day, it sends a direct message to that part of the brain.
What does the message say?
The message says, the day has started, stop producing melatonin. Melatonin is the chemical that makes you feel sleepy.
Oh, okay.
When the sun hits your eyes, the melatonin stops, and your body naturally starts producing waking energy. A phone screen cannot do this effectively. Only natural light can truly start the clock.
Okay, so the light wakes up the brain.
Yeah.
But I want to ask about the glass of water.
Sure.
Because I hear this drink a glass of water advice everywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, it always sounds like a wellness cliche, like something people just say to sound healthy.
Right. It sounds too simple.
Yeah. Is a simple glass of water really powerful enough to change how your morning feels?
It is not a cliche at all. It is pure biology. Think about what happens when you sleep. You have been lying in bed for 7 or 8 hours. You've been breathing out moisture all night, and you might have been sweating, but you haven't had a single drop of water to drink.
So you wake up dry.
Exactly. When you wake up, your body is dehydrated.
So your body is physically lacking fluid.
Yes. And when you are dehydrated, your blood actually becomes slightly thicker. It doesn't flow as easily.
Thicker blood. That doesn't sound good.
It's not. That means less oxygen is traveling to your brain. You feel tired, you might have a slight headache, and you feel slow. When Emma drinks a large glass of water immediately, she is restoring that lost fluid.
Like watering a dry plant.
Exactly. It helps her blood flow properly again, delivering oxygen straight to her brain. It is like turning on the engine of a car.
And then she just sits quietly. She doesn't rush.
Right. Sitting quietly allows her nervous system to wake up gently. She avoids the shock of the crowded party on her phone. She's completely in control of her environment.
Now, to everyone listening, think about your own morning today.
Yes, think about it.
Did you wake up like Emma, or did you wake up like Jack? Because Jack has shocked his nervous system with broken sleep from the snooze button. and he has flooded his brain with stress from the news on his phone.
His brain is in a state of chemical panic.
Right, chemical panic. It needs a quick rescue.
Mhm.
And that biological panic dictates the very first decision he makes when he walks into his kitchen for breakfast.
Exactly. The choices we make in the morning don't happen in isolation. One choice causes the next choice. Because Jack's brain is tired and stressed, it is going to demand a very specific type of fuel.
Let's look at what they choose to eat. Emma eats a balanced meal. She takes the time to have eggs, toast, and fruit.
That is real fuel.
She's giving her body real, substantial fuel. Jack, on the other hand, relies almost entirely on coffee. And sometimes, if he has them, he adds a cookie.
Oh.
A cookie and coffee for breakfast.
He tells Emma that the cookie makes him feel happy.
This is a perfect example of how bad habits grow. Jack had a bad morning. His brain is a busy train station. He is suffering from that sleep inertia, the chemical fog, because of the snooze button.
So he is already losing.
Yes. So what does a tired, stressed brain ask for? It asks for fast, easy energy. It screams for sugar and caffeine.
It is looking for a shortcut.
Yes, a shortcut. But caffeine isn't real energy. We need to understand how caffeine actually works in the body.
Okay, keep it simple for us. I will. From the moment you wake up, your brain starts producing a chemical that makes you sleepy. Let's just call it the sleepiness chemical.
The sleepiness chemical, got it.
The longer you are awake, the more of this chemical builds up in your brain. It is like sand falling to the bottom of an hourglass. When enough sand builds up, you feel tired.
So how does the coffee change that?
Well, in your brain, there are little locks, and the sleepiness chemical is the key that fits into those locks. When the key goes in, you feel tired.
Okay, locks and keys.
Right. Caffeine is a fake key. It is the exact same shape as the sleepiness chemical, so the caffeine goes into the locks and blocks them.
Oh, so the real sleepiness chemical cannot get in.
Right. The caffeine puts a blindfold on your brain so you cannot feel how tired you actually are. But here's the problem. Your brain does not stop producing the sleepiness chemical.
It keeps making it.
Yes, it just keeps building up, waiting outside the lock.
Mm-hmm.
When the caffeine finally wears off, all that sleepiness chemical rushes in at once.
Oh, wow.
That is why you crash so hard later in the day.
That is a great explanation. Caffeine is just borrowing energy from later in the day. You have to pay it back.
With interest.
And what about the cookie? Jack says it makes him happy.
The sugar in the cookie gives him a very fast spike of energy. It goes straight into his blood. For about 20 minutes, he feels great.
But then what?
But the body reacts to that sudden sugar by releasing insulin to clear it out. The insulin pulls all the sugar out of his blood very quickly. That leads to a massive energy drop.
A sugar crash.
Exactly. By combining a fake energy mask like coffee with a fast-crashing fuel like a cookie, Jack is guaranteeing that the rest of his day will be a physical struggle.
Emma gives him a very practical piece of advice here. She knows mornings are hard, so she suggests preparing a simple sandwich or cutting some fruit the night before.
This is a beautiful psychological tool. We can call it doing a favor for your future self.
I love that idea. Your future self.
Yes. When you prepare healthy food at night, you are taking care of the Jack or Emma who will wake up tired tomorrow morning. You are removing the need to make a decision when your brain is stressed.
Because in the morning, making a choice is hard.
Very hard. When you are tired, you will always choose the easy, unhealthy option. You will always choose the cookie. But if the healthy sandwich is already made and sitting in the fridge, you will choose the sandwich because it is now the easiest option. You are protecting yourself from your own bad habits.
That is so smart. Make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Exactly.
So Jack finishes his coffee and his cookie, and he leaves his apartment. He takes the subway to work. In the source material, his description of this daily commute is quite sad, but it feels very, very real.
It really does feel real.
He says the train is extremely crowded, people look sleepy, no one talks to each other, everyone is just staring down at their glowing phone screens.
And Jack makes a very striking observation about this scene. He says, we all look like robots, a train full of tired robots holding coffee cups.
Tired robots. Think about your own commute this morning, or any time you travel on public transport. When you got on the bus or the train, were you using your phone to actually read something important? Or were you holding it up in front of your face like a shield so you didn't have to look at anyone?
A shield against the world.
It really makes you wonder about the phones. Are they just tools or are they protection because we are simply too exhausted to deal with the real world?
That is the exact right question to ask. The phone on the train is definitely a psychological shield. Social interaction, even something as small as smiling at a stranger or making eye contact, well, it requires energy.
It does. It takes effort.
It requires your brain to process information about another human being.
And Jack has no energy left.
Exactly. When you start your day with a stressed nervous system, a sleep deficit from hitting snooze, and poor fuel like a sugar cookie, your energy bank is completely empty by 8 a.m.
Empty before work even starts.
Yes. Your brain goes into survival mode. It says, protect the tiny bit of energy we have left. Don't talk to anyone. Don't look around. Just stare at this small screen and shut out the world.
So the tired robot behavior isn't just because people are unfriendly.
No, not at all.
It is a direct biological result of a bad morning routine. If you don't fuel yourself properly, you guarantee that you'll become a robot on that train.
Yes. And reaching your office as a tired robot means your workday begins from a very bad place. You are already in energy debt before you even sit down at your desk.
Let's follow Jack and Emma into the office. This is where we see how morning mistakes multiply throughout the day. Jack starts his workday by turning on his computer and immediately facing what he calls too many emails.
The dreaded inbox.
Yes. And we also need to talk about the physical reality of modern office work. Sitting in a chair, staring at a screen for many hours is incredibly hard on the human body.
It is. We really weren't designed to fold our bodies into chairs for 8 hours a day. When you sit still for that long, your blood circulation slows down, your muscles tighten.
And your breathing changes, right?
Yes, your breathing becomes shallow, which means you are taking in less oxygen, your body slowly starts to go to sleep, even if your brain is trying to work.
And we see the biggest difference between Jack and Emma when lunchtime finally arrives. Look at Emma's lunch. She actually leaves her desk. She goes to eat with her coworkers. They talk about movies, they talk about interesting food they've tried, they discuss travel plans, and they share funny stories from the office.
It sounds very pleasant and normal.
It does. But what does Jack do?
Let me guess. He stays at his desk.
He eats lunch completely alone at his desk. He is chewing his food while he is staring at his screen, reading and answering emails. He never actually stops working.
This raises a really important point about what rest actually means. Jack thinks he is taking a lunch break simply because he is putting food into his mouth.
Right. I'm eating, so I'm on break.
But Emma tells him very clearly, that is not a real break. Your brain needs actual rest during the day.
I want to push back against the whole culture of the working lunch. Because eating at your desk while answering emails is like trying to recharge a mobile phone battery while you are simultaneously running a heavy, power-draining video game on the phone.
That is a perfect analogy.
The phone gets hot, the battery struggles, and the percentage never really goes up. It never fully recharges.
Yeah.
You cannot truly rest if your brain is still processing work problems and stress.
I like that battery idea. If we take that battery idea further, we can understand how cognitive load works.
Cognitive load, what is that?
Cognitive load is the amount of effort your brain is using to think, solve problems, and process information. When you answer an email, your cognitive load is high. Your brain is burning energy.
So eating a sandwich does not lower the cognitive load.
No, it doesn't. A real break for the human brain requires a total shift in
A
context.
context shift, meaning what exactly?
It means changing your physical environment and changing what your mind is focused on. Emma's social conversations about movies and travel provide that total context shift.
Oh, because she is talking about fun things.
Right. Her brain stops thinking about stressful spreadsheets. It switches to a different, more relaxed type of processing. Social connection actually releases positive chemicals that reduce stress.
And Jack.
Jack brain, on the other hand, never gets to turn off the work application. He is just draining his battery while he chews.
Because Jack's battery never recharges at lunch, we arrive at an inevitable crash. The famous 2:30 p.m. slump.
Ah, the afternoon slump.
Jack tells Emma that right around 2:30 in the afternoon, his energy completely disappears. He feels like he cannot keep his eyes open.
We should explain the physiology of this afternoon slump because it happens to almost everyone. It is a natural biological event.
It is natural.
Yes. The human body has an internal clock. This clock controls when you feel awake and when you feel sleepy over a 24-hour period. For most adults, there is a natural biological dip in alertness in the mid-afternoon, usually between 2:00 and 3:00 p.m.
So it is perfectly normal to feel a little tired then.
Yes, a little tired is normal. But how deep that dip feels, whether it is a gentle wave or a massive crash, depends entirely on your habits.
Ah, I see. Because Jack had a stressful morning. a sugar-heavy cookie for breakfast, and a fake lunch break at his desk, his natural 2:30 p.m. dip feels like hitting a brick wall at high speed.
Exactly. His body has no backup energy to handle the natural dip.
And what is Jack's solution to this terrible crash? He goes back to his old friend. More coffee.
Of course he does.
He drinks another cup of coffee to force his eyes open, but as we discussed earlier, he is just putting another chemical blindfold on his tired brain. He is pushing the exhaustion deeper.
Emma offers a completely different and much healthier solution. When she feels that natural sleepy feeling in the afternoon, she does not reach for caffeine.
What does she do?
Instead, she drinks a glass of water, she stands up from her chair, and she walks around the office for just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes of walking.
Yes.
I have to ask, does a tiny 5-minute walk really do anything? It sounds almost too easy.
It does a tremendous amount. When you sit for hours, as we mentioned, your blood flow slows down. Blood begins to pool in your legs.
Cooling your legs.
Yeah, gravity pulls it down. So less fresh blood and oxygen reach your brain. That lack of oxygen makes you feel foggy and sleepy. When you stand up and walk, even for just 5 short minutes, your large leg muscles start moving. Your heart has to pump faster.
So you are physically pushing oxygen up to your head.
Precisely. Fresh, oxygen-rich blood is delivered straight to your brain. This wakes the brain up naturally without any chemicals.
And the water helps too.
Yes, combined with the hydration from drinking water, which we know helps blood flow, it provides a true biological energy boost. It is real energy, not a fake mask like caffeine. Plus, stepping away from the desk provides a mini context shift, lowering the cognitive load for a few minutes.
It is amazing how these very small 5-minute choices add up over the course of a day. Surviving the workday with fake breaks at your desk and pumping your body full of excessive caffeine and sugar, well, it leaves you completely depleted by the time you finally leave the office.
Empty.
Which brings us to the evening. Jack finishes work at 5:30 p.m. And because of the day he has had, his evening is going to be a disaster.
It is a slow decline into disorder. Jack is, understandably, completely exhausted when he walks out of the office.
Let's look at his after-work routine. He gets home, he sits on the sofa, and he immediately turns on his phone or TV to watch online videos. And he doesn't just watch 1 or 2. He sits there for up to 3 hours.
3 hours just staring.
3 hours of just staring at a screen. And for dinner, he doesn't cook. He relies on heavy takeout food delivered to his door. Pizza, fried chicken, or double burgers.
It is really important that we don't judge Jack here. We shouldn't listen to this and think, oh, Jack is lazy. His heavy, unhealthy dinner and his mindless screen time aren't character flaws.
They aren't.
No. These evening choices are the inevitable biological crash from a day of high stress and poor fuel.
He literally doesn't have the energy to make a good choice.
Right. There is a psychological concept called decision fatigue. Willpower. The ability to make good choices is like a muscle.
A willpower muscle.
Yes. Every time you make a decision during the day, you use a little bit of that muscle strength. By 5:30 p.m., after a stressful day of work, Jack's willpower muscle is completely exhausted.
It is tired.
His brain has no energy left to plan a healthy meal, chop vegetables, or read a book. It demands the easiest possible options: fast food and easy entertainment.
I totally agree that we shouldn't judge him, but there is a detail in Jack's story that I found truly chilling. It is almost scary.
What is that?
When Emma asks him about watching 3 hours of videos, Jack doesn't say, I chose to watch 3 hours of videos. He says, the videos just keep playing.
Wow. The videos just keep playing.
That is such a powerful, heavy statement. I think the internet, especially modern social media and video platforms, is incredibly dangerous for this exact reason.
Let's dig into that. Why do you think it is so dangerous?
Because it completely removes the need to make a choice. Think about the past. If you watched a movie on television, the movie ended. The screen faded to black or went to the local news. You had to make an active choice to find another movie, or you had to choose to turn the TV off and go to bed.
The default action was that the entertainment stopped.
Exactly. The default was stop. But the internet changes the default. Now, with the autoplay feature on streaming sites, the next video starts immediately. Before you can even think, should I go to sleep? A new, bright, loud video is playing.
You don't have to choose to keep watching.
Right. You just have to be too tired to choose to stop. It is a trap designed perfectly, specifically, for tired minds.
That is a very sharp observation. The technology companies know exactly what they are doing. They understand decision fatigue.
They know we are tired.
Yes. They know that when you are tired after work, your ability to make decisions is very low. They design the platforms with infinite scrolling and autoplay to exploit that biological weakness. They keep feeding you content so you never have to make the effort to click play.
Yes, and compare this digital trap to Emma's evening routine. Emma tells Jack that her goal for the evening is simple: to relax and prepare for the next day.
A very healthy goal.
To achieve this, she engages in quiet, peaceful activities. She reads a book, she cooks her own dinner, she listens to music. Sometimes she takes a short walk outside in the evening air.
Here we see the critical, fundamental difference between active relaxation and passive consumption.
Those sound like important terms. Let's break them down for the listener. What is passive consumption?
Passive consumption is what Jack is doing on the sofa, sitting completely still, letting a computer program feed you 3 hours of random videos. You are not engaging your brain, you are not moving your body, you are just absorbing flashing lights and noise.
Does it feel like rest to him?
While you are doing it, you might feel numb, which feels a little bit like rest. But it isn't rest. You are still flooding your brain with fast-paced information. When you finally turn the screen off, you don't feel refreshed. You usually feel drained and a little empty.
An active relaxation. Why is cooking a meal considered relaxing? It sounds like work to me.
Active relaxation is what Emma does. It involves activities that require some light focus or physical movement, but no serious stress. Cooking a meal requires you to move your hands, smell the ingredients, and focus lightly on a recipe.
Okay, I see.
Taking a walk requires movement and breathing fresh air. Reading a book engages your imagination. These activities are active, you are doing something, but they are deeply relaxing for the nervous system.
Why are they relaxing for the nervous system?
Because they bring you into the present moment. They stop your mind from worrying about tomorrow's emails. They engage your physical senses in a gentle way. This kind of active relaxation actually helps your brain clear out the stress chemicals from the workday. It rebuilds your energy rather than just draining it further.
As Emma wisely says, the evening isn't just the end of today. It is the foundation of tomorrow. If you spend your evening passively consuming stressful videos and eating heavy food, you're going to wake up feeling like Jack does, like a busy train station.
Yeah, exactly.
But if our evenings are entirely swallowed by exhaustion, if we are so tired from work, how can we possibly find the time or energy to improve ourselves? In the source material, Jack and Emma discuss learning a new skill. Specifically, they talk about learning English.
This is where the conversation turns very practical. Jack notes that many people have busy schedules, just like his. They feel they simply cannot find the time to learn a language.
The common belief is that to learn a language, you need to sit at a quiet desk for 2 or 3 hours a day, staring at heavy grammar textbooks.
Which nobody has time for.
Exactly. But Emma completely shatters this idea. She tells Jack that he doesn't need 3 hours. She says 15 minutes a day is absolutely enough. She suggests using short podcasts, quick videos, or reading simple articles for just 15 minutes.
Emma is touching on a widely supported scientific principle in human learning. When it comes to building new pathways in the brain, consistency is far, far more important than volume.
Can you explain how the brain builds those pathways?
Think of learning a language like walking through a thick forest. The first time you walk a path, it is difficult. You have to push branches out of the way. If you only walk that path once a week for 3 hours, the branches will grow back by the time you return next Sunday.
The path disappears.
Exactly. The path disappears. But if you walk that path every single day, even just for 15 minutes, you constantly trample the grass. You keep the path clear.
So the brain is like the forest.
Yes. Your brain works the same way. Studying for 15 minutes every single day builds much stronger neural connections than studying for a massive 3-hour block once a week. Your brain needs regular daily contact to signal that this new information is important to keep.
That makes perfect sense. Daily contact keeps the path clear. But Jack shares a brilliant tiny habit, a micro habit, that he uses to get his daily contact with English. I am calling it the onion strategy.
The onion strategy, I like that.
Jack tells Emma that he speaks to himself in English while he is doing everyday boring chores. He gives a great example. He says he will be standing in the kitchen preparing dinner, and he will say out loud, "Now I am cutting onions."
I love this strategy so much. What makes it stand out to you?
I have deep admiration for the cutting onions technique. I think it is the perfect analogy for how we should approach life.
Yeah.
Jack is taking a boring, tear-inducing chore like cutting an onion, and he is transforming his kitchen into a powerful language laboratory.
He is.
He doesn't need to buy extra time. He doesn't need a fancy textbook. He just narrates his actual physical life. Why do we always overcomplicate learning when we can just speak our daily lives out loud? Now I am walking to the bus. Now I am opening the window.
You have hit on the exact power of what we call integration versus addition.
Let's clearly define those two ideas, addition versus integration.
Addition means trying to find a brand new empty hour in your day to add a new task. You tell yourself, I will find 1 hour tonight to study English. But as we clearly saw from Jack's typical Tuesday, his day is already full. He is exhausted by 5:30.
Right, there is no empty hour.
He doesn't have an extra hour. If he tries to add a task, he will fail and he will feel guilty.
And integration.
Integration means taking a habit you already have to do anyway, like cooking dinner, folding laundry, or walking to the subway, and layering the new skill on top of it. You integrate the learning into your existing routine.
So combining them.
Yes. Jack has to cut the onion anyway to eat. By speaking English while he does it, he gets his practice without spending one single extra minute of his day.
That is so incredibly smart. It removes the excuse of, I don't have time. And I imagine it connects the language to real physical actions, which probably helps you remember the words better.
It absolutely does. When you connect a word to a physical action and a physical object like feeling the knife and smelling the onion, your brain stores that memory in multiple ways, making it much easier to recall later.
The source material ends with a beautiful description of Jack's ideal weekend. And it is such a sharp, almost shocking contrast to his weekday routine.
It really is. We spent a lot of time analyzing Jack as the tired robot on the subway from Monday to Friday, but let's look at how he describes his perfect Saturday.
On Saturday, Jack uses no alarm clock at all. He wakes up slowly, whenever his body is naturally ready. He takes his time making a cup of coffee. He listens to music. And then he goes to a local cafe. He likes to sit by the window and just watch people walk by outside. He describes this feeling to Emma by saying it makes his life feel cinematic.
Cinematic. Like a beautiful, slow scene in a well-directed movie. He is no longer a tired robot rushing in a dark, crowded subway tunnel. He is an observer. He is present in the moment. He can actually appreciate the world around him.
The contrast between the weekday robot and the week cinematic observer is huge. It almost sounds like two different people living in the same body. And I think this is the ultimate lesson of our entire deep dive today.
I agree. The ultimate goal of fixing your daily routine is not to become a perfect, emotionless machine of productivity. The goal isn't to optimize every second so you can work harder.
No, nobody wants that.
And the goal definitely isn't to hate 5 days of the week so you can finally start living your real life on Saturday.
So what is the real purpose of these micro habits?
The true purpose of managing your small habits like drinking water, walking for 5 minutes, or avoiding the autoplay videos is to bring a little bit of that weekend cinematic piece into a regular Tuesday morning.
Wow, bring a little bit of Saturday into a regular Tuesday. If you change your morning alarm habit, or if you prepare a better breakfast the night before, you protect your energy. You protect your nervous system.
Yes.
And by protecting your energy, you can actually enjoy the weekday. You don't have to be a robot.
Exactly. You deserve to feel present, calm, and human on a Wednesday afternoon, not just on the weekend.
That is a wonderful perspective. Let's synthesize everything we have learned today. Based on his conversation with Emma, the source material notes that Jack created a brilliant, simple 5-step life plan. Let's review it naturally for everyone listening.
Sounds good.
The first step is to fix the morning collision. Stop pressing the snooze button excessively. When the alarm rings, get up and start the day to avoid sleep inertia, that chemical fog.
The second step is about fuel. Eat a real breakfast instead of relying on cookies and sugar. Give your body proper, lasting energy so you do not crash by the time you reach the office.
The third step tackles the desk trap. Walk away from your desk during your lunch break. Even if it is just a short walk, give your brain a total shift in context to truly re-energize the cognitive battery.
Step 4 is to manage the afternoon slump properly. Drink more water and less coffee. Remember that hydration provides real blood flow and oxygen to the brain, while caffeine only masks the exhaustion.
And finally, step 5. Escape the evening autoplay loop. Spend less time watching random videos that drain your willpower and choose active relaxation like reading or cooking to prepare your mind for the next day.
Those 5 simple steps do not require moving to a new city or getting a new job, but they can completely change the direction and the feeling of a person's life.
So to you listening right now, we want to remind you that you do not need to change everything all at once. Please do not wake up tomorrow and try to be perfect.
No, perfection is impossible.
As Emma says in the source material, small changes matter. Your small daily routine eventually, day by day, becomes your entire lifestyle.
That is right. Focus on integration, not addition. Even spending 10 to 15 minutes a day listening to discussions like this one is a perfect example. You are improving your English, you are thinking deeply about your life, and you are building a positive habit without adding hours of stress to your day.
You are doing the cutting onion strategy right now by listening to us. Okay, as we finish up today's deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought to explore on your own. It builds on everything we have discussed, especially Jack's beautiful idea of a cinematic life. Think about this. If your daily routine is the script for the movie of your life, what is one tiny 5-minute scene you can rewrite tomorrow morning to change the entire ending?